How to be the best in your field. Do you see others having success in your industry and you wonder, how can I compete? Are you an aspiring or established entrepreneur who wants to rise to the top of your field? If you want to become the go-to in your arena, you're in the right place, because in this video, I'm going to show you how to be the best in your field. Hey, Courtney Sanders here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to me, I'm a full-time life and business coach, as well as wife and mom. I wear all the hats and do all the things. And I thought it'd be fun to do this video because I'm gonna toot my own horn, but I just completed a new course and coaching program that I am convinced is the best in its field. And I know I'm biased, but I tell you what, if you stay to the end of this video, I'll give you some sneak peeks. And so you can take a look at what that coaching program actually looks like, and the platform, the videos, like so professional. It looks so good. And not just does it look good, but the content is really great. And I'm really, really proud of this because I feel like this coaching program that we have just finished, it's called The Next Big Name, and again, it looks amazing. I feel like it is the culmination of me working in my coaching career to become the best, or at least one of the best in my field. And so I know many of you are just getting started. You see a lot of established coaches, a lot of just established entrepreneurs in general out there, and you're wondering to yourself, man, how can I compete? And remember, I got my start fresh out of college, no coaching certification, no experience. I was working my first job out of college, and I was still able to build a 6-figure, and then it became a 7-figure brand with nothing more than my bachelor's degree and just my own life experience. So if you want to do the same, and you don't just want to put some stuff out there, but you want it to actually be good and high quality, and you want to be the best, you want to be the go-to, we're going to cover all of that right now. All right, the first thing you need to do if you want to be the best in your field is narrow the field. I know. Make the field smaller, and then it's a lot easier to stand out. You need to carve out your own lane. So I talk about this all the time because often in the coaching industry, especially in the life coaching industry, we look at big names like Tony Robbins, Oprah, Ayanna Van Zandt, or even bigger personal brands like Chip and Joanna Gaines or Tabitha Brown, or all these people who are like huge personal brands out there, and they're doing, it seems, a little bit of everything. And so we think we have to be that when we first get our start, but that's actually not the case. Everyone that I mentioned got their start in one specific arena, and because they had success and became the best in their field, in that narrow field, that then allowed them to then expand and compete on greater and greater levels. So one of the best things that you want to do is truly think about, where can you compete in an area where you have expertise, and more importantly, you have experience in. So many people get hung up on coaching certifications or, traditional credentials. I don't have a degree in this, or I don't have a certification in this. There's nothing wrong with having a certification. It might be helpful in some instances, but the most important thing that you need is real world experience. You need a story that demonstrates that you are credible in this arena. And so one of the easiest ways to narrow the field is simply to narrow the field around what your specific story is. I have another video that talks about shaping your story. It's the video about how to become a women's empowerment coach, but I go over shaping your story in more detail. But you really want to look at your story and see, what's the path that I actually walked? What's the expertise that I actually have? And you want to narrow the field around that and really pursue being the best just in that lane. So when I was first getting started, I started my life coaching practice not in life coaching everybody, and certainly not in business coaching, because I didn't have any experience in business coaching at that time, but I did have experience in my story on self-discipline. So I had this whole drama where I lost my full ride scholarship in college, trying to start a business. I quit going to class and I lost it. And so I was on this grind trying to get everything back, and I started really studying self-discipline and applying it to my life. I started reading all of these personal development books, started doing little self-discipline experiments on myself, and I started documenting my journey. And so my story was about self-discipline and how I mastered that. And so I narrowed the field, right? I didn't start with life coaching. I narrowed the field just down to self-discipline, and particularly self-discipline as a millennial go-getter. That was like little teeny tiny narrow lane. But because I had success in that arena, I could demonstrate it. People could look at my life and they could see like, oh yeah, she really did it. It was very easy for me to quickly become the best in my field when it came to that little narrow lane. And that then allowed me to expand into other areas of life coaching and then eventually into business coaching. So the easiest way to be the best in your field is just simply to narrow the field to start. All right, the second thing you want to do if you want to be the best in your field is you want to do things differently. I feel like there is an epidemic in coaching and just online business in general around copying. I'm all for finding inspiration. Maybe you see somebody doing something and you're like, I like how they do that. I wonder how I can put my own spin on it and do it in my way and with my vision. That's fine. But just straight up doing the same things that everybody's doing, creating the same content that everybody else is creating, saying the same things that everybody else is saying, is not gonna help you be the best in your field because there's already someone doing that. So if you want to rise to the next level in your field and become the best, you have to do things differently from how they're already done. And the beauty of living in an imperfect world is that we live in an imperfect world, which means there's always opportunities for improvement. So look at the people who are currently operating. Maybe they're doing an amazing job in your industry, but you, first and foremost, as a consumer and as someone who is participating in the industry as maybe a viewer or a fan or a consumer or whatever, you know that you think to yourself, and you're like, man, I really wish they would cover XYZ. Or I really wish, the industry was like this. Or I really wish I didn't have to do whatever. Those are areas and opportunities for you to do something differently, and then you'll quickly find that you will rise to the top. Every big name brand that you can think of that has become best in field surpassed those that were already there simply by doing things differently. And one of the greatest examples that I can give of this is, you guessed it, Apple. So it's no surprise that I'm a big, Apple fan, and I love my MacBook and my iPhone and all of that. But people forget that when Macs were first coming out, IBM and then Microsoft were reigning supreme. And so Steve Jobs asked himself, how can I do things differently? What are some things that I don't like about the current offerings that are out there? At the time, Microsoft, the interface wasn't that great. It was like that black screen with the little flashing cursor, or, the graphical interface just wasn't that great. It wasn't what it was today. And Steve Jobs, being a creative person who had studied all these creative things, in his younger years, said, wow, I would love it if, one, the interface was beautiful, but also if the devices were beautiful. Like, just because it's a computer doesn't mean it has to look like, some big clunky piece of equipment. What if we can make it look beautiful? That was just based on his own observation as a consumer of the field of, computers and consumer electronics, and he did something differently. And then we look, 30 years later, 40 years, maybe that's too long. 30 years later, Apple is now best in class and at the top of their field. And so I know we're talking about huge companies, Apple and Microsoft, but you could do the same thing in whatever arena you're in, especially if you are a coach or a personal brand. All right, the third thing you need to do, and it goes along with the second point, is be yourself. So here's a cheat code for doing things differently. If you're like, Courtney, how can I do things differently? It seems like everybody is already doing everything. Simply be yourself. And by virtue of you being your own person, right? You have a unique fingerprint in this world. Nobody is exactly like you. Even if other people are similar, maybe some people have similar beliefs or similar personalities, your unique mix of life experience, the things you've been through, what interests you, your unique quirks, package all of that up and simply be yourself. Lean into your differences. Again, for my own self, using myself as an example in my journey, one of the things that I was actually insecure about when I first started my coaching business was my age. I was young, right? I was fresh out of college, and everyone else in the coaching industry seemed so much older than me. They seemed like they had so much more experience. And so instead of running away from that, I leaned into it. So obviously I narrowed my field down to self-discipline, and particularly self-discipline for ambitious millennial women. But I also made my brand and my content very young, hip millennial, hey girl, hey, to some degree, it's still like that. I like to think I've matured a bit, since growing up and getting married and having kids and paying bills and all the things that I do now that I wasn't necessarily doing in college. But I lean into what I was and who I was at that time, and I was just myself. I'm kind of goofy. I like to crack jokes in the middle of videos, right? I'll create an outline and I'm like, I'm gonna talk about this, and then I'll go off on a rabbit trail because it'll trigger something else that's really interesting, right? Maybe some people who don't like it, it's fine. They click off the video. But if you're still watching it, you probably love my quirky, weird rabbit trails, and that's why you're here. Be yourself. That's one of the easiest way to set yourself apart and do things differently, which again is gonna help you in being the best in your field. All right, I have more where that came from, but first I wanna hear from you. What do you wanna be the best at? Share in the comments below. All right, the fourth thing that you need to do if you want to become the best in your field is you need to find your people. So this kind of goes back to the third point that I was saying in terms of being yourself. You have to understand that best is rarely absolute, right? Best by definition is a subjective term. One person thinks Apple is the best, me. My husband thinks Samsung is the best, and I think he's crazy, right? But we're using different metrics to gauge, right? He's like, oh, you guys are so stuck on your Apple phones and your Apple, cameras. Samsung cameras have, been top of the line for years. Why did it take Apple so long to catch up? Okay, he really values, the specific technical specifications of the phone, right? But I value the brand, I value the ease of use. I love that my iPhone connects to my iMac and connects to my iPad and connects to, my laptop. I love that it's easy to plug my phone into the car. Pretty much every car, even rental cars when you're traveling, have CarPlay, which is an Apple app that allows me to hook up to my phone. So I have my reasons for liking Apple, okay? So I'm an Apple person, but my husband is not. It's the same thing with my brand, right? You gotta find your people. Who are the people who are gonna think you're the best because they value the same things you do, right? So I value being myself. I value being a little bit quirky. I value being intellectual, right? I have all of these books. I'm always referencing a book I read or something interesting that I, saw in the news or something, and I love weaving that into my content. Maybe my content might be somewhat heavy for people who like shorter, kind of quick, superficial hits, right? I'm not on TikTok yet. My team is encouraging me to get on TikTok, so we're trying to figure out a way to get on there. But part of the reason why I'm not on TikTok yet, not to say that I won't be in the future, is because all the content is so short form. And I know that I really shine in places like this, on YouTube or on podcasts, where I can really extrapolate on my thoughts and again, be my full self. Me trying to do a dance in 3 seconds or whatever the time frame is and point and get all the points out, like I feel very constricted. It doesn't flow with my natural way of communicating. But maybe you're the exact opposite. So you have to find your people and people who like the way you communicate and what you have to offer. People who are like, oh, that takes too long. Just tell me what I need to do. Give me a quick hit and make it entertaining with some music in the background. Those people are on TikTok and they're finding their people who can communicate that way. But I think maybe if you're watching this video, you're a bit like me. And so I would say you're my person if you're enjoying this video. You value the same things that I do and you like the way that I deliver my content, and your people are gonna feel the same way about you. All right, the fifth thing you need to do if you want to be the best in your field is you need to get support from superstars. And again, I told you at the beginning of this video that if you stay to the end, I'm gonna give you a sneak peek into my brand new coaching program, The Next Big Name, which I am convinced is the best in its field. I know it's biased, but when you take a look at this, you're gonna be like, girl, wow, this is top of the line. I haven't seen any other coaching programs or courses that even look the way that this one does, let alone have the quality of content. I've heard horror stories of people spending a lot of money only to get into coaching programs or buy courses into some slap together PDFs and some ugly worksheets. That is not this, okay? So we'll take a sneak peek in just a second. But part of the reason why I was able to create such what I think is an immaculately built coaching program is because I didn't do it alone. I got support, and not only did I get support, I got support from superstars, right? I have a superstar videographer. I have a superstar video editor. I have a superstar instructional design team that helped me take all of this information in my head and order it in such a way in my course so that people are actually gonna get and they're gonna be able to go through the content quickly. I have staff coaches who are there to answer questions for people who are in my coaching program. They're the best of the best as well. They've gotten results for themselves in their own business, and they're able to help me get results for my client. I have superstar team on the back end, right, who help do all the tech and all of that. I would not be where I am today if I relied 100% on myself. So you have to get support, whether it's from contractors, vendors, employees, or even other people to coach you. I work with other business coaches. I've worked with some of the top, best, biggest names, in business coaching. You might watch some of their videos here on YouTube. One of my coaches has recently launched his YouTube channel, and it's really phenomenal, right? Again, superstar people, because I know that they have the goods to offer, and I know that if I get that information, and again, I put my own spin on it, I do things differently, and I show up as myself, I'm going to rise to the top of my field as well. All right, so I hope you enjoyed these tips on how to be the best in your field. If you want even more tips, particularly on how you can be the best in your coaching brand, I have my Coaching Brand Success Secret Seminar that you can sign up for free by clicking the link below. All right, thanks so much for watching this video. If you liked it, don't forget to give a thumbs up and hit the button to subscribe. And if you can't wait till my next video, come on over to Instagram. It's CourtneyLSanders, and check me out there. I'm showing behind the scenes of my life and more content just like this. And if you can't wait for my next Instagram post, make sure that you are subscribed to my podcast, The Courtney Sanders Show, on both iTunes and Spotify. And with that, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.